Hi guys, and a very warm welcome back to the new Sandling Junction build. Now I suppose you can guess that I'm sitting right next to the lovely Creality Falcon A1 laser engraver, so a lot of this video is to do with this lovely machine. However, there's an awful lot more to this video than just using this laser engraver. I was asked by Creality, having done the first video, to show you and introduce you to it. Would I do a project using this machine as opposed to my Creality Falcon 2 Pro that's sitting over there behind the camera? No problems at all. Until I sat down and thought, what the heck am I going to do? I am not that skilled when it comes to designing my own buildings or anything else. Now I know recently you've watched me develop the platforms on the Creality Falcon 2 Pro, and I designed those from scratch, had a lot of fun with that, and that's a process that's still ongoing, although you've seen much of the development, much of the build process, and they are now in place, although not finished off on the layout. So what do I do? Well, it meant a huge learning curve in the last couple of weeks for me. Since the last video using this, it's a huge learning curve. And what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of people who I know design their own buildings and things use several platforms in which to do it. Apart from Lightburn, which is the generic source for lots of laser engraving ideas and to final output. But the actual design can be done not only in Lightburn, but in other places, such as Adobe Illustrator, or indeed Inkscape, and SketchUp is another one, and Tinkercad, and so many others. I think Tinkercad, there's another one, but I think that's not Tinkercad. But also, and moreover, for me personally, is something called Affinity Designer. Now, Affinity Designer, just like Adobe Illustrator, is a vector platform or vector software. So you can create something in that you can then make as a vector, or it creates it as a vector, and then you can put that into Lightburn either as an s.svg file or a .dxf file, which is the same one that Inkscape uses. And the thing is that you can then create something. So for me, it was about how or what do I design for a kickoff, and better still, how do I actually design it? Now, I've only ever used Affinity Designer in my artwork to create posters and things for my gallery. And the very thought of creating a building inside Affinity Designer, well, it's completely alien to me, to be fair. And I felt that there is a way. I have to find the way. I have to learn. I have to be able to do this, because I want to use not only this machine, but also the other machine in the future extensively to build stuff for the layout overall. So I had to bite the bullet in the last couple of weeks and spend many, many hours understanding what I need to do. I've watched so many videos on Affinity Designer, the vector program, vector trace, this, that, and the other. Well, actually, unfortunately, and if you're listening, Affinity or Canva, who now own Affinity, we do need a vector trace element in the next iteration of Affinity, please. So if you're listening, bear that one in mind. But all of that said and done, there were fundamentals of how to use it, how to create lines, how to build a shape in squares or in circles to build the overall look to create a building. It's a lot more than just a square and a few windows in. So I set about doing that. I also had to create tabs and slots. Now, in the same way as you saw me do tabs and slots in the past, I did tabs and slots on here, and that was just myself using Lightburn to do it, and I was successful. I learned how to do it in Lightburn, but I then set myself the bar a little higher and said I had to create it in Affinity Designer that I could then transport over to Lightburn and then put into this machine. I think I've done it. I don't know for sure because I haven't yet tested the theory. What I've done is I've created something on here that I'm now going to test burn on here. So I would have had all the components to what I'm going to talk about set up on my larger bed area over there, but this is a smaller bed, so I've had to do the burn into 2 stages. That's fine, it's not a problem. And I've got all the board that's cut. This is not all of it. Well, this is not all that I need. This is just a whole load of cut pieces that are the right size for the bed on the Creality A1, which is essentially 380 by 305. And that is the bed size for this machine. And I've got to say, I'm really excited about using it again because I feel that it has so much potential. It's so easy to use for the novice or the beginner. And if you're, as I say, and I said in the last video, if you're still sitting on the fence with this, I wouldn't hesitate, because the price point is really low right now, and including the discount code, which I'll put back in the show more tab under this video, that you can save even more money. I think it's under, well, it was, I think a couple of weeks ago, under £300 if you use my discount code. It was quite a lot of money off. So I think if you're thinking about it, now's the time to act. However, what am I going to build? Well, I sat and racked my brains as to what it was that I wanted to do. I done the platform station, the platforms for the station. That's fine. I'm not going to go back there, not for the while anyway. So I really wanted to do an engine shed. Now, recently I picked up a book on southern engine sheds, and I'm going to put a bit of a call out there amongst all of you, and that is that in this book was the original Ashford station shed. It's a 4-road shed, Victorian in 1860 something, and it went all the way through to the early 1900s when the 10-road Northlight shed was built in Ashford to take over a lot of the traffic that was being used. It was really the center of many operations, building and other things at that time in history. So they built a 10-road Northlight shed. The older one remained there for some time until it was finally demolished, probably around 1930, 1935, something like that. So I wanted to build that, but all I've got in this book is the front facade. That's all there is. It's really an interesting building. There is another segment coming off to one side, but unfortunately I only have just that front, and I've sort of worked out all the sizes. I've used different scale rules to work it all out, so I can do the front, but I can't see what's on the side. I can't see what was on the back. I can make a guess, and I can use generic windows and generic sides in brick and things like that that already exist in other buildings to put a sense of that shed together. However, that is not for this video. That is for another one. But if any of you out there have got a set of photographs that you could let me have copies of that show any other aspect of the Ashford station from the point of view of that first big 4-road shed, the sides, the back especially, and other outbuildings from that area. Also anything on the 10-road shed, the Northlight shed, that would be interesting. And also if any of you got pictures of the large coal stays that were was there. I think it had predominantly corrugated metal, but I'm not too sure, but it's quite a large affair. But anything like that, but really that lovely first shed, if anyone's got anything on that, I would love to hear from you and love to have some copies of photographs that will help me further when it comes to building something like that. However, that's an impressive shed to build, and I'm not there ready anywhere close to it right now. So what I want to do is do a single engine shed. Now I've got several old Metcalfe type sheds. There's lots of photos out there. There are lots of other sheds in the market and from other proprietors, and also photographs of single sheds. So what I've done is I've looked at everything that I can, and I've sort of taken measurements off of the paper products that I've had, the old sheds that I've had on the layout, just to see what I need to do in terms of scale. And then I've built up the drawing inside Affinity Designer, and I'm sure I've missed something. I'm sure I have, but what I've got in here right now ready to go are two two boards to burn and engrave in here. Now it's all cut, no engraving. I worked out and put a whole load of brick engraving on just the sides and the front and back of the shed, and it would have been 3.5 hours of engraving. Now I may well do that. In fact, I probably will be doing that at some point, but I do need to test fit this first. I do need to know that what I'm going to do works. There's no point in spending all that time and energy and money in terms of electricity. It costs not a lot anyway, I'm sure, but there's no point in doing all that, waiting for 3.5 hours plus to find that it doesn't work as an engine shed at all because something I've done is wrong. So I'm going to cut this in blank timber, no engraving at all, and I'm going to see if it works. And if it works, great, then I can apply some brick texture to it, either in the form of some self-adhesive, just like Julian does on Station Road, and I've got plenty of that I can put to the face of it and create the engine shed that way. Indeed, I can also add the brick texture and re-engrave it, and that's not a problem either. So I have everything. I'm fingers crossed, because I've been working on this design for so many days now, and it's taken a lot of effort, a lot of understanding, a lot of head scratching, and a lot of disappointment where I've gone so far and realized I haven't done something. I've had to backtrack, all of these small little niggles, but hopefully I've got there. So what I'm going to do now is, I'm not going to film the whole process, just going to get a start on here, get the engine shed cut out. Hopefully it works, fingers crossed it does. And if it does, we'll go from there, and I'll catch you at the other end of it. So wish me luck. Let's see this burn happen, and let's see if we can create a lovely engine shed. It's only a single one, it's only a simple one, and all the bits of bells and whistles, like all the trims, downpipes, barge boards, and all that sort of stuff have yet to be designed and built. This is just the raw components to make the shed happen. Catch you soon. So before I go any further, then, you can't really see the cut outlines here, but what I'm going to check on is the layers. So we have one here that says multi, and that's turned off right now. So there we go. Now you can see the outer parts of this burn, and I'm just going to push that over a little bit more, making sure that everything I need is on the plate as I need it. I probably could have fitted more on top here, but never mind. I'm not going to squeeze more than just in case it doesn't work, and I've still got to use the other one anyway. So let's just check a few more things. I want to check the quality of this. I want to make sure that that is set to line, and I want to make sure that this is set correctly here at 500. And I want to make the power up to, we're going to make it 90. That's fine. And we're going to use the air assist and one pass tabs. I'm going to quickly put the tabs back on. What this does is it stops things falling through with a very small piece of wood that misses when it comes to the engraving as a whole. And if it falls through the wrong place, then of course you can end up double burning, which I've done in the past, as you well know. But let's just move this back into place, come back up there. All right, so I've looked at the camera is showing everything on the piece of wood that I want to burn. Now what I was saying about this is, generally if you put this first and this second, then the interior cuts that I'm making, all of these cuts, will happen first. And if there's any movement from what you're doing, then it won't dislodge. If you cut these first and there's movement, then these will be offset, displaced, and not where they should be. So you always make your internal cuts first and your external cuts second. However, the function for me has altered. That's got to be changed as well. We need to break that as the same 500. by 90. So it cuts at the same rate, one single pass, and we're good to go on that. Air assist is on, so that's fine. But yes, what I'm saying is if you go up and test this now by using the input here, this shows you how the job will burn. If I come back here, you'll see that the operation is cutting all my outside shapes before it cuts all of my inside ones, which is not what I wanted. And because of that, and because of the way I set it up here, I do not know how to correct it. So if any of you out there, again, are used to Lightburn, I'd love to hear from you to say what I've got to do to make that when I put this up front, it cuts first and not second. And that's one of the reasons why I do fully tab it, so that really and truly it's not that important, so it's not going anywhere. But if it wasn't tabbed, it could cause me an issue. Anyway, enough of that. We're going to now just make sure that we've got this homed. There we go. We are now nicely on the board. So I am happy to press go. Let's go for it. Original chords. Just double checking the last couple of things. Everything's set to go. Let's do it. Now my fingers are well and truly crossed that this works out. It's not the engraver I'm worried about. There's nothing wrong with that. That will do its job. What worries me is my ability to design in one program that I've never used to design before in, and transplant that across to Lightburn, which I have a bit more idea about, and then make the whole thing work. So yeah, we'll figure it out. Hopefully it'll work. Well, I've got to say, it does look good. But the proof of the pudding, of course, will be when I try and put this lot together, just to see if it works. Now, hopefully, everything should have stayed in place, with the exception of the cutout pieces there. So everything looks good so far. We'll see. Okay, so I've taken off the honeycomb, cleaned that out, and the area out, and this is a piece of wood that I have in place of a piece of metal. I need to get my hands on a sheet of metal to go in here, but it's doing pretty much the same job. But you can see how even through the honeycomb, parts of this are burning the wood and therefore protecting that base. It really is quite important to, in my opinion, to protect the base. You don't have to. I just feel that it is a good thing to do. So I'm going to put back the honeycomb carefully now. Now this is not the proper honeycomb. This is one that I bought and cannibalized to fit, but I do have one I hope coming very, very soon. But the whole thing allows a better burn because the air can circulate, and the compressed air that's pushed down at the time of burn does its job properly. And the heat can get away and not scorch the back end of your wood. Now you can see how powerful that exhaust is on this A1 Falcon A1, because it is just drawing off all that smoke instantly. It's the fire. Okay, so that was a successful outcome. And I've still got a nice piece of board to use on another occasion. Now these were obviously not tabbed because they've all come apart. Not a problem. It's a nice cut. Look at that. Nice and clean on the back end. We've got a thunderstorm going on now. Can't make this stuff up. But it's a lovely setup. Now these would be normally bricked up. And this is what I've designed my roof trusses on. So I'm just going to finish that off. I've got two types I'm going to cut. And the reason for that is I'm not sure which one would have been pertinent to the shed. So I've designed two. And I'm guessing that you guys will probably let me know which is which and what it should be like. Anyway. Okay, quite pleased with those. Yeah, they come out well. They are tabs, so they should have held in. Let's just hope that I had enough power and they burnt all the way through. By the look of that, they have all burnt through quite nicely. These are all held in with their tabs, so that's fine. Which I'm now going to go to the train room and see if I can work out, make sure it all fits. Hi guys, in front of me you see a little pile of bits and pieces of my new engine shed. Now I've just finished cutting this out on the Creality Falcon A1. It did a superb job of doing and handling that without any problems, no headaches or anything at all. However, I have noticed a couple of things wrong with my design, and earlier I actually mentioned the fact that the end pieces of the inner wall were a different height of roof. The roof at the apex is fine, but it's these angles here that were wrong, there and there, so the roof is not going to work. So on top, so what I did is I went back and raised the roof up, and so now they actually are pretty much a perfect. That said, I feel that I may have to go back to the drawing board on a couple of other issues. I'm not sure yet, but now I'm pretty sure from the evidence that I've seen so far that this probably is not going to work too well, but it's worth a try. Worth a try. So I'm just going to do the tabs. Do get a bit messy with this, but like I said, it is just the initial first time out. It could go right, it could go horribly wrong. I have no idea yet. Now I didn't worry about kerf, as I've mentioned in the previous video. I simply wanted to get this whole thing together and go from there. And I'm going to leave it there and come back to you as and when I can get on to the next little bit. Okay, so that's pretty much made this shed rigid. These are going in, that's fine. They're fitting very, very nicely. However, I've made a bit of a mess up here on this end one. For instance, I've got the bar coming across here and it shouldn't be. So I've got to change this one or lose this one altogether behind here. Plus, I got the fan extractor there and the center columns going pretty much straight through the window. So another design fault, which I'll have to attend to. I've got no problem with that. That's the whole idea of doing this. I'm going to put the roof sides on like that. And that's fine, except they're not deep enough. I realise now if they go there, there's going to be a short there. So I've got to change that. And also, by doing this, now this is not as easy as one thinks. And I put my hand up to every one of you out there who have, you know, managed to make a engine shed or building that works. But look, I am clearly way off here. And I've just discovered another thing. I can't put the windows on. I just realized that the thickness of 2 millimeters on here is not going to work either. So I'm going to have to make either individual windows that come and fit inside these slots here. So that's doable, it's just they won't be as long as this one. So it's just a small redesign. So what I'm going to do, I think, with this video is look at my shortcomings. And there are quite a few right now. I will make another video on this engine shed if I don't pull my hair out in the meantime. And that will be one that's got a brick engraving on, and only once, therefore, when I've managed to get all the issues, all the bugs out of it and making it as I would like it to be. There you go. One start of an engine shed. Now I know it's not correct, and I'm not going to try and kid any of you that it is, but it's my little engine shed. I'm pleased with it. I'm very proud of it actually, and you never know, I might get one in the end that actually looks absolutely brilliant. But I am really chuffed with the fact that this is my very first attempt at building a structure for Sandling Junction from a laser engraver without any real prior knowledge of how to do this. And in the last week or so I have been studying, as I said earlier, looking, measuring with a caliper, with a what's it rule, all sorts of things to try and get this right. Now I haven't got it right, but by hell, I have come a long way than where I was a week and a bit ago. I didn't even know how to start, much less finish. So I'm going to take another look at the roof, and I'm going to add extra pieces to that. Hi everyone, and a very warm welcome back. Now, last time out you saw me holding this, I was really chuffed with the outcome. And I've got to say, nothing's changed. Only because, and I know there are faults with it, but it's the very first thing I have ever been able to design independently on my laser engraver via Lightburn or any other software. And in this case, I've been using Affinity Designer for 2 or 3 years as a design tool for my art business. However, I realized that within Designer itself, it's very powerful vector program, which sort of rivals Adobe Illustrator. And from that point of view, I just needed to learn how to do it. And yeah, just put it all together. So what I'm going to do now, because this is only my trial fit in a way, just to see where I've gone wrong, it's revealed all the problems, and that's what I intended to happen. But having done that, I now want to carry on and build a proper one, or at least the next iteration, whereby any of the problems that I had in this one hopefully will be ironed out. Well, a little confession, since the last bit of filming, I have actually gone back to the drawing board and I have made a second version of this. Now, I'm still printing it out, I'm still burning it, but by the time I do another video, I'm hoping that I will have a much better building to show you and present to you based on all my learning so far. So I'm going to glue this together. I've also played around with the little cowlings that are going to sit on top. I've etched out what could be construed as some vents. I don't know if you can see those clearly, but they will be some vents, and I've got the little cowling on top that will be forming the end of each of this. There are going to be 2 on here, and hopefully I've got that right. But okay everybody, well I think that just about wraps this video up for the moment, certainly. And I've got to say that I know this lovely little single engine shed has got its issues, teething trouble I suppose you could call it, little areas that needed sorting out, and I'm already well down the road of sorting many out on the second version of this. So I'm going to keep doing that until I get it right. And I did that with my platforms that I created on the Creality Falcon 2 Pro a few months ago. I kept doing it until I got it where I needed it to be. And I'm going to do the same with this one. But I got to say, I am so excited that, you know, I took a program that I've never used for this sort of thing before, learned how to do it, and taught myself all the little bits and pieces within the program to make this happen. I then designed it. I then brought it into Lightburn. I did a bit more tweaking in there, and I then put it on the Creality Falcon A1 and created it. And to me, that's just the magic. That's the magic of modeling. And that's the magic of my model railway, is to be able to take something that is just a flat piece of wood, essentially, and turn something out like this, which is completely bespoke. It's completely my own design. I have not bought this from a shop, nor have I downloaded a card kit or anything else to do this. And there's nothing wrong with any of those presses. Please don't take me the wrong way. But, you know, for me, I'm not the best when it comes to technical stuff. And you can ask anybody, including Julian and friends of mine who help me out from time to time on the layout, that it's, you know, I'm not that technically minded. I am an artist. I create things visually, as in paintings and weathering and things like that. But to settle down and design a building that almost fits, almost fits, and put it together like this and be able to show you guys. Yeah. Now, the thing about Sandling Junction, and those who followed me for years will always know that if I make a mistake, I'll leave it in the footage. I'll leave it in the film. And there are a good deal of things wrong with this one that I have left in. No point in glossing over the faults. I think that if I can build this, then any of you out there can build this. I mean, it's as simple as that. And I would honestly say to anybody right now that if you're thinking of getting dipping your toe into the laser engraving world and designing world, where you can take something like this or create something like this and put it on your layout, I think that the Creality Falcon A1 is the perfect machine to do that, because right out of the box it's ready to go, and it is so simple to operate. And you know, I know that the Creality Falcon 2 Pro is a lovely machine, but it's bigger and it does take a little more setting up sometimes than the A1. And I did a couple of tweaks on the computer today, and I went straight out, turned the A1 on, plugged the camera into my computer. It just went, and it did the job I asked it to do, and a few minutes later I was out of there, back in, trying to sort any other bits out. So yeah, I gotta say, I can't highly recommend that little unit enough. And if you go down to the show more tab under this video and the last one, you'll see a discount code that you can get and save even more money off it right now. It's very, very cheap to buy and get into right now, so I would recommend that. So anyway, the next video I'll do will probably be on the layout, doing a little bit more track layout, a little bit more design work on there. And by that time, I hope that I will perfect this design a little better, so I can bring you a full video on the design of this completely from start to finish, the new version that is, and whatever iteration that may be by then. And I would like to weather it up, paint it, and do all these things. So hopefully I will enjoy your company for that one. And yeah, I love it. So anyway, until that time, I'm going to bid you farewell. I'm going to get on with this one. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you got something from it. And I do hope that it has swayed a few of you to consider getting into laser engraving with that small Creality Falcon A1, because it's not much bigger than a printer. And if that at all, and it can sit almost anywhere in a workshop, anywhere out the way, and not cause you any problems. So yeah, until the next time, take care. I'm going to stop waffling. Take care, everybody. Bye bye for now. Take care. Bye bye.